We're back once again, and wait, the music fades away, and there we go. We're back once again. It's a Friday live stream, as we will be keeping this nice schedule with Tuesday and Friday live streams. I'm feeling pretty damn good about that, and we actually do have some fun stuff to be speaking about today. Some completely new stuff that we haven't mentioned on this particular channel. It's got to be over a year now. So as the title will allude to, it's a fun day, but we'll get into that a little bit later. We'll also do a little bit more, normal analysis as well, but ultimately, I do look at this as somewhat compelling. At least that's a case that I'll kind of be building for today's video. Anyways, I see a lot of familiar faces, also new faces here as well. Fishing for Cardano says finally made alive. By the way, I actually just met a new person here as well. Shout out Tom from the UK, stopping me earlier on my way back from my coffee run. Good stuff, man. Good to meet some people from this community. Of course, he's British. He's not actually Finnish, because Finnish people never say shit, but it is what it is, man. Anyways, yes, Hourglass Crypto says, my man, the Jewel got an update. When did this happen? If you're talking about the Krown MVP, which was the former Jewel Lite renamed, then yes, but that was quite some time ago. If you're talking about the one that is available through MetaSignals, well, that is, no, I don't believe that there's been an update, or at least not anything recently. What's up, Nikki Page? Good morning to you as well. Tom Struct, Willist, Toby Leong, Durian Rambotan. I know all these guys. I know all these faces, and also Nikki as well. Not a man, actually a woman. Anyways. Sure. Okay. Anyways, I don't know what the hell Elsa is saying. Oh, okay. You're talking about the new account that is coming from. No, it's not an update. It's just coming from a different account. That's all. We were switching things around because it's better to have these sort of indicators handled on a company account rather than like my personal trading view account, which doesn't really make too much sense. Anyways, let me just read back some of these comments. I remember I saw some pretty damn good ones earlier. So let me see if I can pull them up. Yeah, CC13 says, hey, Krown, could you take a little look at the correlation between super red moons, which we have today, and market tops / bottoms we had in the past? Yeah, we'll definitely be doing that. I see a shit ton of numbers over here saying what a journey it's been thus far. Thanks to you, Krown, for talking to me and bringing us all together. That's exactly what we're here for, man. And I see also they took our gerbs. Our gerbs are gone. Indeed, man. Indeed. I swear I saw something else. Oh yeah, Banksy Rule says, what is the line on your Vegas brawl? I'll be having, or hopefully having, a fight in Las Vegas in just a couple of months, actually, in May. I think it was May 28th, somewhere around there. I don't have an opponent yet, so nothing's set in stone. These things fall through all the time, but if they can find me an opponent, I am more than down, which would be awesome, especially since most of this community is in America. So if you want to join on in, then join on in. Should be some good times. Anyways, Dr. J says, yo, am I a community member now? I think you are, and I think you have been for quite some time, actually. What's up, Sushi Yum Yums? Another familiar face here as well. Very good stuff indeed. Where is Sumji and Gaylord? These are and was it Gaylord or Ass Lord? I forget what his name was, but it was great. It was fucking great. Nice time schedule for a live stream. Yeah, indeed, man. I'll continue to keep this consistent, at least for the next couple months. We'll see how things kind of evolve from there, but that's the plan. That's the plan for now. And then if we do move back to America, which we're planning to probably in about a year, then I think we might be doing live streams even more than that. If Trump lets Elsa in, fight BitBoy or Alex Becker. Actually, the promoters have asked them multiple times, and they don't seem to be interested. So it is what it is, man. Yeah, I'd be happy to it. Not that I hate the guys or anything like that. It's just a good, clean match. In fact, actually I met Ben BitBoy is his real name, and honestly, in person, he's very charming. He's very, very charming. Anyways, are we the gayest community in crypto YouTube? If so, I'm kind of scared because my family is conservative. For real, no cap. I think, well, we got bigger problems than being gay. And look, being gay is fine. We're all fucking gay. I'm gay as fuck. You're gay. Elsa's the gayest. Gays are, yeah. Elsa loves dancing with them on YouTube as well. Anyways, if you're looking for a good YouTube channel, check out Marshall Fitness, the Fitness Marshalls. I hear that shit blaring on my fucking TV every day.
Actually, the best no cap.
Elsa says it's actually the best, no cap. She's practicing her American English, so she's been doing English with Colin lessons recently. But fair enough. Also, I have another announcement as well. I'll probably repeat this a little bit later in this live stream so that more people can hear it. But for the people who are here right now, you can actually get the VMP indicator. This one, where do I have it? Actually, do I even have it? I actually don't even have it on my chart right now. But this one right here, alongside a couple other ones, for free if you just go to the Teachable link in the description below and choose a monthly subscription plan for the VMP. And if you type in trial, TRIAL, in all capitals, you get the first month free. You can immediately discontinue your subscription from there if you have no interest. But of course, if you want to try it out for free for a month, go for it. It's there for you. We have a new system now as well where the trading view access is now automated, so you can get those indicators like immediately as soon as you sign up, and then just click a couple of buttons basically, and they'll show up right in your TradingView account. And like I said, for 1 month, anyone can take this offer, and let us know how the automation features do work. If you have issues with that, email elsa.crowntrading@outlook.com. She'll take care of you. But I have a good feeling about this one. I think it's gonna be pretty damn good. Fight Gareth Soloway. I mean, I'd be happy to. I don't think he's going to accept though, but I'd be happy to. I don't think he trains, but fair enough, man. Anyways. Are we homeless now, sir? Yes, we are now homeless. Bitcoin has crashed to $82,000. This is even worse than a couple years ago when Bitcoin crashed to $15,000. This is like 10 times worse. In fact, now we're really fucking poor. Anyways, I think it's a sign that most people in this market are not involved in Bitcoin. They're involved in the altcoins, and you done fell for the trick. You goofed up, and now consequences will never be the same. And I don't make the rules, so don't come at me. Thanks, Satoshi. It's Friday. Thanks, Satoshi. Indeed, it's Friday. Arm wrestle him. Sure, I'm down for that as well, I guess. But fair enough. Anyways, I do think, let me just see how many people got in here right now. I think we are just, wait, where is my timer on this? Where's my fucking timer? Oh, there it is. We'll give it a couple more minutes and then we'll get to the actual analysis for the day. Just want to give a little bit more time for people to join on in. As I've been saying during this past couple weeks, interest is certainly waning within this within the crypto sector, if you want to call it that. But as you can see over here, we do have a nice moon, so perhaps that can get a little bit of a short-term move here, or as we'll be going over, likely to move in the relatively near future. Anyways, is the Trump family behind Binance? That's news to me if they are, man. I keep on reading though that Trump wants to abolish taxes. He wants to abolish the IRS. I think the latest one is that they want to have no taxes, or he wants to propose no taxes on anyone who earns under $150,000 per year. Like that's just going to create. I mean, I'm a fan of that, but I do think it's just going to create an issue where people are going to be writing off as many expenses as they can to get under $150,000. No matter how much they make. I'm sure some genius accountants can figure that one out. But yeah, I would like to know, however, is this planned for before the next tax date, which I believe is April, what is it, April 14th or April 15th, whatever the fuck it is. Sometime in April, about a month away right now. Coffee and TA morning routine. Exactly, man. I do the exact same thing as well, in fact. All right, very nice. And Elsa's talking about fleshlights, which she will be cleaning later as well, because I don't think it's a laughing matter, but apparently some people do. And well, you're probably just sick in the head as usual. Very immature, very, you think it's funny, and that's disgusting. Most people would be disgusted by something like this, but a freak like you looks at this and laughs, which is just insane. I mean, how disrespectful can you actually get? It's there are almost 1,000 people watching right now, and you're laughing at them. Jesus Christ! All right, look, it's her, not me. So direct your angers towards Elsa. She loves it. Anyways, no, she doesn't. Elsa cannot deal with anything that is remotely negative towards her. All right.
Tell me ugly words.
Jesus. Okay. Well, not going to do that one as well. All right. Can you do some analysis on S&P? I don't know. Maybe a little bit later. I'm sure it'll come up during the stream. But let's start it off over here. Actually, let's start off in the very low term timeframes. Was it this chart right here? No. Yes. No. Not that one. Where is it? This one right here. It has to be this one right here. Yeah. There we go. All right. Let me just get that ready right there. Okay. In yesterday's video, we were looking for a quick sideways and downside move following the old LARP line right here. And in today's video, I do suspect that this is still, on the menu. Have we seen the full extent to the downside in this, in this move just yet? Perhaps not. As we'll be going over a little bit later, there are some very interesting things going on with the moons in the background. But as it stands right now, Bitcoin's still looking very corrective on the short and medium term time frame. So I would allow for the correction to continue a little bit more in terms of just my overall bias. But moving on from there, I did want to get into the topic of today. Some fun stuff. Again, I know that this garners like a lot of terrible attention. Some people absolutely fucking hate it. Some people love it actually as well. I'm agnostic to it. I just care about statistics. And we do see that there is a new moon, or it's technically not a new moon. It's called a full moon. I've actually done my research here, which is this white moon that you see printed on today's new bar, which generally throughout Bitcoin's history has actually been a good sign for general upside over the next couple of weeks. If we were to back test simply just longing when that full moon occurs and then closing that long when the next moon occurs, which is probably not the most, optimized way to do this. But even if we just do that at face value, I do think that it is interesting here to see that over the full history of Bitcoin, this would have netted positive results. In fact, I think for many people, this might be, maybe even better than their personal trading. In fact, I mean, it's generally been on the right side. So in this case, we are going to see this one fire off again today. But I've also done my research with the moons here, and this moon is actually different. In fact, we've seen it many times before. This one is called a worm moon. It's a worm moon, which I guess is like a variation of a blood moon. Like I went really fucking deep into this one, as you can see. And so what I did is I went through all prior worm moons. Sounds fucking retarded. But I did go through all prior worm moons here. Let me just see. Yes, there we go. And I marked off all of the prior ones in Bitcoin's history. And the ones over the last, I would say 7 years since 2018 have been somewhat consistent here. So if you do recall from last year, March 25th was the most recent worm moon. You can see that Bitcoin did essentially top out around that region. It spent a little bit of time there. It spent about a week and a half, 2 weeks around the high, but then did come down about 20% within the next about month. Now, moving from there, we can go to 2023, and this one also very similar, at least in my actually no, it's not similar in structure, but similar in the fact that it has a pretty massive move. This one actually happened on March 7th. Bitcoin did come down, if you recall, during that time from $22,500 to just under $20,000 at 19.5. That's about a 13% decline right there, and then rallied up, very, 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 very aggressively from that region. Again, within the next month, it was actually up. The prior one than that, was down, obviously, but first move was down here as well. So, that might come into play a little bit later. Anyways, looking at the March 2022 worm moon is going to be right before the bull trap of the 2022 bear market cycle. You can see that Bitcoin did pump up here 16% from that actual date. Of course, later on, if we were to measure this, more than a month out, Bitcoin was having a catastrophic fall off right there. But, in the relative short amount of time, we did see a pretty volatile move. And that is what is consistent amongst all of these. We've seen a double-digit % move within the next week to 2 weeks. but follow through from there typically has not happened. Same thing over here. When we go to 2021, this is around where the market topped off. We can see that in the short term, again, for the first couple weeks, it did rally up about 16%. In fact, we've seen that same 16% come up a few times now. And then, of course, did come down significantly after that. And if we go back to the one before that, well, that was actually right before the Rona dump. That was happening on March 9th, and Bitcoin did have a catastrophic fall, 50% from that from that number in a very short amount of time, just 4 days from that. And then, of course, over the next month, it was basically unchanged to slightly up, perhaps. And then if we go back to 2019, this was coming off of the 2018 bear market cycle lows. This one actually did not have a quick move within the first 10 days, but after that, did fucking explode. I mean, in hindsight, like that was a big pivot, to be fair, but not in the same way as the other ones. And then, of course, 2018, we can see something relatively similar, as well. Short-term move to the upside. This one traveling from that day to the next high. Actually, not as much as the other ones. About 7%. Still nice, but not of the same style as we have seen before. And then, of course, from there, just massive fucking down. And if we go to one more before that, because I don't want to bore you too much with this, we can see from 2017 that we have the same sort of behavior here. Rallies up a few days barely, and then gets absolutely fucking stuffed down. So looking at our current read on this, I would still express caution with any short-term rallies. I do think that most short-term rallies here for Bitcoin do get stopped before one more attempt at the lows. So let's say that the LARP lines over here are going to be wrong, and Bitcoin does rally up. I would be looking for Bitcoin to top out again on a lower high here. The area that I'd be interested in, however, is that 4-hour 200 simple moving average. That's the white moving average right here. You can see that moving average has actually stopped all rallies since February, essentially. So as long as Bitcoin's below there, as long as Bitcoin is is respecting that one, I do look at this one as corrective, and I would be, skeptical of any sort of reversal first, and then more importantly, I suppose, just be aware that downside can very easily occur from there. Of course, that is also going to be in combination with the old blood moon over here, the worm moon, whatever the fuck moon you want to call it. Does kind of tell me to not trust the first move. So if Bitcoin did rally here, I wouldn't trust that one. If Bitcoin did go to the downside, I'd also, like directly from here, I'd also look at that as, this one's probably not going to break down and not going to break down too much further. So, it kind of depends on what the first move is here. My bias is towards short term, another try at the downside, and then and then a decent bounce. And if that bounce gets stopped below that white moving average again, which is currently at $91,000, I'd look at that as I'd look at that as a concerning signal that Bitcoin actually is going to break down to the lower 70s. Now, here's the thing. We do have a couple of points of hopium here. One would be the meta signal setup. We did call this one out. This was just a few days ago on the 11th of March. Again, you can get these setups for free, by the way, with the meta signals link in the description below. This was for the 8-hour time frame, and once again, this one hitting target number one. We've seen target number one hit so many times on these setups. That was the move to just under $84,000. Target number two, however, which does have a 50% probability to get hit, is basically $90,000, and that would be almost directly in alignment with that white 200 simple moving average on the 4-hour time frame as well. So if it did play out, that's kind of where I'd be expecting rallies to end, at least for now. And then, of course, I do want to reiterate that, one, if you're using meta signals, use a little bit of your own technical know-how as well, but more importantly, you can massively optimize these setups just by, in my opinion, the entry. In a lot of cases, you can get a better entry than what it's suggesting right here. But as always, meta signals and the quantum wave bands, services like this, they're really meant to give you like a guide in the same way I always like to give this analogy, but in the same way that you have bumper rails when you're bowling and you suck at bowling, like it'll put you on the target. You're not going to go into the fucking gutter, but it'll be better. It'll be better. It'll be a little more safer. At least it gives you some very obvious risk management pivots. Anyways, moving on from there, I did want to also explain why I'm still biased towards Bitcoin likely having another downside move or a downside try. It is starting to switch around here, to be fair, a little bit, but as we have been going over, all higher term timeframes are still on the same side. Yes, they are starting to get into critical zones, so it wouldn't take too much to get a lot of these things to turn back up. But here's your daily stochastic momentum. We can see that it is continuing to the downside here as long as Bitcoin's below $85,000. The 2-day time frame is actually going to have a chance to cross back up. This one is closing tonight. It will actually cross back up if Bitcoin closes above 80,500. Right now, trading about $1,500 above that number, so not bad. 3-day time frame is also going to be showing downside pressure as long as Bitcoin's below 85,200. So we see that number come up a couple of times. The 5-day time frame also closing tonight is going to be showing downside pressure below 102. The weekly also closing tonight is going to be showing downside pressure below 100. The 10-day time frame, which is also closing tonight as well, is going to be showing downside pressure below 97,300. The bi-weekly time frame, which is also closing today, is also showing downside pressure as long as Bitcoin's below 100. And then the monthly is also showing downside pressure as long as Bitcoin's below 102, obviously not closing today. So that is why I still remain skeptical towards, short-term rallies. And on top of that, I wanted to bring up one last thing here pertaining to Bitcoin. This might not be what you want to see, I suppose, but well, actually, do I want to save this for this video or maybe another video? Maybe I save it for another video, but I'll just give you a quick insight, at least for the people who are viewing right now. Anytime that we've seen the monthly time frame close below the red moving average, which is a 5 exponential, there's been a very, 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 very close shot in many cases, always getting to that yellow moving average, which is the 21 exponential moving average. You can see back from last year, we did actually see that one broken right here. Bitcoin did come down very close to it. After that, I would say that is, effectively a touch. If we go back to, of course, 2021, I mean, this one very obviously doesn't just touch it, it exceeds it. If we go back to a few months prior than that, same thing, very similar to the one that we saw from last year, where it comes down below, spends a little bit of time, goes a little bit lower, gets close to that 21, and then has a nice bounce. And several times, obviously in 2018, 2019 as well. So I do look at that as not necessarily fulfilled just yet. Could Bitcoin come down to low 70s and that condition would be fulfilled? Yeah, I would say so. And coming down to low 70s doesn't really, change anything on the very, very high term timeframes for me in terms of trend, in terms of, general direction or anything like that. So, I would kind of, be aware that can very easily happen from here. But ultimately, Bitcoin is coming off of some pretty major areas. So, is it going to be like a wick below and then still kind of close back up around these upper 70s, low 80s? I think that's definitely possible. We can see that the weekly for CME here is once again bouncing off that green 55 exponential average, which did find the lows from 2024, by the way, as well. And even around the lows in 2023 here too. So for this bull market phase, it actually has been a pretty damn good basing region. Bitcoin can obviously spend a lot of time around there, but this can take many forms, like I've been saying. I mean, it can spend a lot of time here doing something like this, giving a few wicks below, giving a few wicks above, but I don't think that we're going to see anything like super outside of this range on a closing basis consistently, at least for a couple of weeks, I'd imagine. On top of that, we can also see that the 5-day HPDR is, you can barely even see it here because this one actually is working so well, but you can see that the 5 days pretty much perfectly playing between the 61.8 level to the upside versus the 78.6 level to the downside. I think that's generally going to be the range on a closing basis, for the next, I would imagine 10 to 15 days. That would be, highs around mid to upper 80s and lows around mid 70s, let's call it. So yeah, that's what I'd be looking at right there. Again, that's on a closing basis, obviously, but that is where I'll end that's where I'll end this video. And we'll continue on with the live stream. If you're watching this later, you can join on in with the live streams. If you just subscribe to these videos, it'll notify you of these, of these live streams in the future, or you can just watch them later as well. Anyways, that's where we'll end it. As always, wish you the best. Take care and see you next time. Very nice. Okay. All right. Beautiful. Now we got through that one. I was kind of struggling a little bit there. I didn't have the best night of sleep last night, but we persevere. So not bad. Anyways, let me see what comments or super chats Elsa has lined up over here. Let me take off my pants in the meantime as well because it's way too fucking hot. Like it's sunny outside, even though it's also snowy as well. There's like snow on the ground here in Finland, but it is too damn hot. They make these houses way too good with their insulation. It's actually crazy. Anyways, all right. Let me scroll up here. We have Tom Struck first. He says, "Thank you, sir. Best wishes, best witchings." Aussie dollar versus US dollar. Nice. Look at some Forex. I do actually really like to look at Forex, especially on the higher term timeframes, which you are actually not really on, but but fair enough. Anyways, I do just want to quickly look at the higher term timeframes here because I want to get an overall understanding of kind of where we're at. You know, it does look to me like this is going to be a swing low right here, coming in from about 61, 62 cents, but long term, the trend does remain to the downside. So, you know, on any sort of greater bounces, I probably should be looking for lower highs. Daily right here, do I think that Aussie dollar can rally up to 65 cents? Yeah, somewhere around there, 65, 65 and a half, whatever it ends up being. But that would be my sort of choosing for a potential lower high if it is going to put in a lower high. So you'd be looking for a rejection right there. 12-hour time frame, short term, yeah, you know, I do think that this one tries the upside. 6-hour time frame, same shit as well. You know, I think that this one's going to give a short term try to the upside as well, probably back around 63.5 cents or so. I just wouldn't be bearish on this in the short term as long as it's above, especially the March lows, the early March lows. Until that's taken out, the direction is to the upside. I think it could actually rally a decent amount here, especially considering what's going on with the dollar, which the dollar actually is putting its own rally as well, but generally is having a trend shift here, which, you know, it's going to take some time, obviously, but yeah, hopefully that was helpful, man. All right, Turbo Daddy has a nice super chat, but no message, so all good. Elsa's sending me some sort of Finnish news, which is who gives a fuck. Oh, there's a shortage of meat in Finland. Yeah, I know. It's never in the fucking stores. That's why we have to leave. Like the Finnish media is 100% trying to get the population to reduce their meat consumption, to reduce their fucking gas and oil consumption, to reduce anything that has to do with human progress consumption, to reduce their fucking clothing consumption, to reduce their bag use consumption. I mean, it is actually insane how fucking dumb these people are because they don't understand that technology is the only way forwards. You cannot ask people to degrowth. Not that it's even going to make a fucking dent of difference in the world anyways when you compare it to other countries that have significantly higher populations and blah, 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 blah. But you don't give a fuck about that because we're talking about crypto here. We're talking about magic internet monies. Anyways, let me get into, we can talk a lot more shit about Finland now, especially if we're leaving. Anyways, Turbo Daddy says, "Hey, Mr. Derp, longtime watcher from Florida." Fuck yeah, man. We love Florida. Now living in northern Georgia. I've heard a lot of good things about Georgia as well. Please have a look at CL1. You want to look at crude light. Okay. I do not like this asset, to be fair, but it is in a very obvious downturn right here. You know, you do have your declining highs coming in around these regions, but at the same time, it is in a bouncy region. So I do think overall it's bearish. Short term, very likely to bounce. Can it bounce up to 74, maybe even 77? Sure, but you know, this one is switching around into a bearish posturing overall. So while I do think it has a rally in the relative short term, if you're on the weekly, you know, maybe that could take like a month and a half. I do think that rally will fail, to be quite clear. Monthly, same shit. Yeah, I don't really have anything to add right here. Daily, same thing as well. I think you're going to bounce here, but I don't think that this is a reversal, or at least I wouldn't be treating it as a reversal, especially as long as you're below, what was this, your January highs, which was just under $81. As long as you're below there, there's no reversal to be spoken about. So cool. Giles Debosh says, "Hello, sir. Could you check a link on the daily and weekly?" Yeah, let's check this one out. We haven't looked at this one in a while, and I'm actually curious. Where is it right now? Okay, joining the rest of the market, as you would expect. I do think it's very similar to the last chart. This one very likely does bounce from here. Can it spend some time on the lows? You know, maybe testing a little bit, you know, maybe retesting the low, maybe slightly lower than that. Same shit as Bitcoin, yes. But generally, I do think that you're going to see a bounce here. This one can bounce up, 15, $16. But again, is similar to Bitcoin. As long as you're below the early March high, which for Link is about $17.50, I would be treating this one as, not still a downtrend. As it's not great. But several things here, lining up for at least a bounce attempt. I think if it is going to reverse, it's going to take a lot of time. You're going to see something like this, like quick bounce, come back down, but put in a higher low and then kind of work its way sideways and up from there. Of course, if I'm wrong, you'll see this one close below the current low for March, and you'll see that very, 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 very likely move to $10, maybe even sub $10. So back to single digits if that does happen. But I think a lot more likely to bounce here, man, just to be 100% clear. In the overall look on this one. Again, I'm not saying that it can't come back down and retest this low. I don't think it's going to be like breaking down just yet. Even if you're super bearish, I think it bounces from that general region over the next month. Anyways, we have, who do we have next? We have Crypto Clown World. It says, SEI Zer. All right. SEI Zer. I almost put that into the ticker right there. Similar to the last one, except long-term not as good because this one is just in a general long-term downtrend. But in the short term, similar to the last one, just because, I do think that it's going to rally up here. This one, a lot more bearish long-term, however, just because you do have a really fucking nasty, I believe, monthly downtrend here. Yeah, you do. And I'd feel very comfortable saying that this one has seen the highs for the cycle, maybe even for its full lifetime. But in the short term, can it rally up to 22 cents? Yeah, that would be no problem. Could it rally up even more to like 20, 26, 27? Sure. But again, make no mistake about it. Nothing really changes here, especially as long as this thing is below, as long as this thing's below the daily 200 simple, which is about 40 cents right now. All rallies are just that, rallies before, continuation of trend, which in this case to the downside. I mean, when you see a monthly like this, you have your parabolic blow off top, comes down, you put in your bull trap right here, and then you trade below the prior low. That is just as clear of a signal as you can get that this thing is it's going to have its rallies, but I don't think that those rallies are going to be sustained. I do think that they will eventually fail. Even if Bitcoin were to move to new all-time highs, I think that you just get a rally here, but no new all-time highs in this thing. So yeah, man, hopefully that was helpful. Let me just see. I'm actually curious what the stochastic momentum would look like for this one, just to see if that's on the same side. There's probably not enough history to be fair, but weekly time frame, yeah, short term probably tries for a bounce here. Really wouldn't take too much. Monthly, yeah, it doesn't populate. It's too young. It's too young in its life. And daily also pointed up as well. So probably a little bit of a bounce here at least. Like I said, it can travel up quite a fair bit, but it doesn't really buck the trend as long as it's below just under 40 cents, let's say. So yeah, I'll get back to the comments over here. Let's see. You're looking at the 200 daily as well. Yeah, I mean the 200 daily is the 200 simple moving average on any time frame honestly is always going to be a pretty damn good bias for areas of interest for highs or lows when things are trending, for like big highs or lows. So I always like to have that one on my charts alongside the 377. Because these things do get play, and many times you can just kind of blindly buy or sell off of these if you are manually trading. Anyways, for all the people who are just joining right now, because I see that there are a lot of new people here as well, I do want to let you know that we're actually offering the Krown VMP indicator for free for the first month with the code TRIAL TRIAL in all capitals. You just need to follow the link in the description below for Teachable, and then find the Krown VMP. You can try it out for a month. You can literally unsubscribe immediately as after you sign up, so that you don't have to pay anything, because I understand that some people just want to do that. It's completely fine. That's why we offer it up. And if you have any issues, email Elsa. Anyways, let me see what else we got over here as well. Yes, if you unlike the stream, you will be banned. That's exactly right. Nikki Page is laying down the law exactly as she should. Morning crowd, could you take a look at MicroStrategy? I'd actually be very interested to see MicroStrategy. MSTR, yeah. All right, MicroStrategy here. Again, coming off of the daily 200 simple, similar to Bitcoin on CME as well. It's like, I don't think you're going to break on your first pass of something like this. I mean, well, to be fair, it already didn't break on the first pass because it did have a nice bounce here, but I still don't think that you're going to break from this exact move right here. If it's going to break, I think that it happens a lot later. For right now, I would be looking similar to Bitcoin. You know, does this one retest around yesterday's low? I think that's a little bit more likely in the short term, something like this, but I do think that it will bounce from there. The problem is that you got lower highs below 320, which is very, 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 very important, which means that as long as you're below there, you do have to treat it as, you know, a bearish asset because it is a downtrend after all. I mean, all time frames are basically in a downtrend right here. But hey, you know, it should have a chance. Let's see how high the bounce gets. Maybe after retesting these lows, if it can reclaim 320, okay, bullish as fuck, or at least you have a reversal. Until then, though, I would treat it as corrective. You know, continuing to be corrective and understanding that, you know, this can take some time here as well. And if it does drop off further, let's say it does break the lows, which I don't think it will before, at least a bounce attempt. I'd be looking somewhere down around like 190 to 195 region. Which is actually quite a big difference from where it's at right now that I look at it. Pisa says, good morning. Could you please look at XRP? Yeah, actually XRP I have right here. XRP is, interestingly enough, it's actually, it's out of the big market cap coins, this one has the strongest chart. Now, do I think that XRP is going to do its own thing if the rest of the market, goes the other way? Probably not, but as it stands right here, XRP does have that same downtrend, of course, but you don't see it as low comparatively to all of the other majors, especially in terms of major moving averages. So what do I mean by that? I mean, this one is still above its 200 and its 377. For fuck's sake, I was looking at it yesterday. Ethereum death crossed on the daily time frame. I completely missed that. Probably not the best timing of a move, but does speak towards a long-term trend. This thing is nowhere near that. And XRP continues to hold valiantly above about $2, which in my opinion is the important region to be aware of here. Just getting a test down there earlier this week or last week, but ultimately, if anything is going to have a nice try towards potentially new all-time highs, if the market turns around, this would be it. Funnily enough, again, I say that as someone who doesn't own any XRP, who thinks the XRP army is kind of silly, but yeah, as far as charts go, compared to all the other majors in crypto land, this one is demonstrably better. We can see the daily time frame will even see momentum turn back up here if it closes above 216. I'm hesitant to say that this is going to be like a reversal from where it's at right now. I do think that it could trade up a little bit further north in the short term, like 245, $2.50. But I generally think you're going to continue sideways here for a while. But the longer that it trades sideways within here without breaking down below $2, the more and more likely it is going to have an upside resolution and go to new all-time highs. And at that point, you're probably going to see XRP, I don't know, somewhere around $5, something like that. But as it stands right now, does have the same issues as Bitcoin on the higher term timeframes, with momentum coming down on pretty much every timeframe that really matters. Here's the weekly, here's the 10-day, here's the monthly. All of these are, well, can we actually the monthly is not down. That is a surprise, to be honest. This is one of the only ones that I'd actually have to be lenient with, just due to its relative strength, even compared to Bitcoin, which is very interesting to me because you just don't see that too often. So that does kind of speak towards something's going on in the background here, I suspect. Of course, I would not call this one like moonshot to new all-time highs until it's back above those same early March highs. Same thing for most of this market as well, though most things won't be moving back to their prior all-time highs. But this one very likely would, and probably make decently new all-time highs as well if that were to occur. So yeah. Anyways, long way of saying, generally I think you're going to bounce from this region, but I don't think the bounce is going to be reversal. I do think it's going to be more sideways. I am still inclined to say on the short term, actually the short term probably does try a little bit higher first and then maybe pulls back. So like 245-ish region, let's say, somewhere around there. All right. Giles says, could you check on Doggy? Yeah, sure. Doggy daily and weekly. Where's my Doggy? There it is. Where's my damn Doggy? I finished Kingdom Come Deliverance, by the way, yesterday. Fucking phenomenal game. Not liking this one. Again, completely different than XRP. You can see it's below both the 200 simple and the 377 by a pretty decent margin here as well. Even getting kind of a preliminary death cross between the 55 exponential and the 200 simple moving average right there. But just like the other ones, you're kind of in a bouncy region right here. You're seeing bullish divergence on the daily stochastic oscillator. You're also seeing it come off of extreme levels. It'll be pointed up as long as you're above 15 cents. It's the same shit as Bitcoin, in my opinion. Do you get one more test toward, around that prior low and then bounce, or does it just bounce from here? I guess I don't have like super strong opinions on that, although I do lean towards another test somewhere down around the, yesterday's low. Or was it yesterday's or the day prior? The day prior, the day prior. That would be Tuesday's low. But generally, I think you're going to bounce from there. But here's the problem. As long as you're below the 200 simple or essentially those March highs, which was just under a quarter, it's bearish. Like it's very bearish. So that is kind of a problem. That is where you would expect your lower highs if you're going to get one. But give it a chance to bounce. If it reclaims that region, then I'd be happy to be bullish on these things. Or at least many of these things. Not daily, but weekly is at least bouncing off of the 200 simple. So, another good area to be looking for a bounce. Just on your first test down to a major moving average like this on a higher term time frame, very, very unlikely to break on the first pass without a bounce. Second pass, okay, that's a different conversation. But first pass right here, after a long way of being away from it, more likely to bounce. And I think that's exactly what you're seeing right here. Sir, this is a Wendy's. We don't take financial advice here. That's exactly right. It's a Wendy's, baby. Anyways, Noah Reason says Ondo daily. Sure, man. This one is like a new cycle shitcoin, right? Or something. I don't know. Anyways, oops, I'm just drawing my damn lines over here. Even my LARP lines on this one did not work out. Holy shit. The LARP lines were fake. No, they were false. This LARP line worked out though, so that's good. Anyways, again, similar to the last few ones, I don't look at this one as strong on its own. Again, it's below all major moving averages here by a decent margin, but is it likely to bounce from its current positioning? Yeah, I do think so. What I would change about this one compared to some of the other ones is that I do think that this thing actually could make a new high. If Bitcoin did make a new high, it did make new highs in 2024, in 2024 compared to its earlier 2024 highs. So that's massively different than most of these altcoins. So that's a somewhat decent sign, but yeah. Again, on the shorter term timeframes, it's almost identical to the last few charts that we looked at. Do I think that you can run these lows again close to those lows? I'm a little bit more biased towards that, but I do think that you're not going to break those, at least on this next pass. You're probably going to bounce. This thing can bounce up easily to $1. And still remain long-term bearish. That's kind of the problem. Same sort of pivot that we have outlaid on Bitcoin and pretty much every other altcoin that we've looked at would be for this thing, the early March highs, which is 123. As long as you're below there, it is another lower high. But if you can reclaim that region, I'd be very interested in being bullish on something like this. Very likely a retest around the prior all-time high, maybe even new all-time highs. This thing, at least has long-term trend in its favor for now, which most things cannot say that. So yeah, bit of a different chart right there. All good, Mr. Thornton. All good. Southern Island Fishing Tour says ICP. We can look at it just out of curiosity here, I suppose. Let's see what we got. Internet computer. Compare this chart with the last couple ones. Absolute fucking dog shit. I'm not saying that the technology is dog shit. I understand that a lot of people who are very technical think that this thing has great technology, but in terms of chart, absolute fucking garbage, which doesn't have a very good correlation to fundamentals anyways. But as it stands right now, you have a downtrend on every time frame that matters, like basically every time frame, just in general, actually. But just like the other ones, I do think you're in a bouncy region from here. Maybe after one more run of these lows, it can easily rally up to like $6.25, $6.50. Doesn't change anything. For this one, I would actually not have the same pivot for flipping around to being bullish as the other ones. I'd actually put it around the 200 simple on the daily here, which is $9 and decreasing here. So maybe decreases to like 875 or 870-ish region by the time that this thing does try for a bounce. And assuming that, the bounce fails to reclaim that region there, I would still be long-term bearish on something like this. I don't expect a trend like this to reverse, seeing as it had two bull markets now, and it it's never known what an uptrend is on any time frame that really matters. So to me, that's a really, 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 really bad sign long term. One more Bitcoin rejection and ICP goes sub $3. I mean, if Bitcoin were to come down to 70,000, let's say, I could easily see this thing, maybe not sub 3, but like basically on those lows. I think Bitcoin would have to be below 70 in order for this thing to break down below $3. But long term, I think you're going to be right on that. I think long term, the trend is very obvious here. You know, it continues to trade sideways and down, closer and closer to zero. So I do think it's just a matter of time, but I think it can take a long time, to be fair. Anyways, Chainlink, we already looked at that one just about, I don't know, 5-10 minutes ago now. Basically, the summary of the stream is your alts are fucked. That has been the summary of most streams. That's a very astute observation, Nikki. And indeed, it is, it very much has been a feature of these streams for a while now. I mean, in general, I don't really care too much for alts, but there is a time and place to play them where they do have some pretty nice returns, or at least good risk reward profiles. I can understand why people like it. I think Raoul Pal has really nailed the reason why many people like altcoins, especially for people who are younger and don't have, access to much capital. Like, waiting for a fucking 10% move on Bitcoin isn't going to change your life. But of course, with the possibility of a 1,000,000% move, your life can be changed. However, as you already know, the probabilities with picking the right ones are just so astronomically low that, I think generally it's a distraction. Generally, it's a trap. Generally, it's better to be avoided, and you actually have long-term better results, even if you do consider yourself as one of those people who has a lower amount of equity. If you think really long-term, it's the probability of getting lucky is so low compared to the probability of just, throwing money into the fucking toilet. So yeah, man. Anyways, Mr. Savander, sorry, it's actually Sandrick. Sorry, Sandrick. Okay. He's from North Korea. Norway, the Norwegian krona. Also not a North Korean name. Very, very Norwegian. Good morning, sir. TEL Telenor on Euronet. Okay, so a real stock. Telenor. There we go. It's on Oslo's exchange. Very good. Very, very good here on the monthly. I do think that this one has completed the reversal. General trend is the upside. I think that you'll see at some point, in the following months, like 160, maybe even 170. Overall, good. Yeah, very, very good on the reversal here. There's going to be pullbacks along the way, of course. Maybe even get one somewhat soon around 150. But as long as this thing's above, especially 135, even 140 for that matter, I mean, this thing is bullish and actually completing the upside reversal here. Long term, the trend is obvious, and I think that this is actually your next macro low here. If we go to a quarterly, I'm sure that is going to be a tremendous pivot. Yeah, indeed it is. So I'd be generally bullish on this. I think that this thing will actually retest its highs. I don't know how long that's going to take. I mean, this is a fucking quarterly chart that can easily take another 2 years, right? But I do think that it is heading back up there, maybe even new all-time highs, whatever the fuck this thing is or whatever the fuck it does. So hopefully that was helpful, man. And I just generally be bullish on this thing as long as you're above about 135 on a weekly closing basis. Pullbacks will happen, of course, but I like the trend. The trend is your friend. The trend is your friend if you just let it be. Emerald Oil says, "Hey Krown, I've been watching your channel religiously since 2020. Thanks for your commitment to keep us informed. All good, man. I'm just sharing my thoughts on the, on this market for better or worse. I'm going to be wrong all the time, but I appreciate the appreciation, of course. It's just I always want to, tell people the truth. The truth is, I'm doing my own analysis, typically for longer term investments." As these streams, basically, that's why I've kind of started to focus more on higher term timeframes compared to the prior few years, which were more on lower term timeframes. I still do have a couple of algorithms trading for me on the lower term timeframes, but in terms of allocation, I'm shifting more into a long term investor, I suppose. Hey, what's up, Bear Nutrition? Good morning to you. Like button, tappy, reminder. There we go. Fuck yeah, man. CHZ for Coinoil? What? I don't know how to say that name, man. CHC USD. All right, Chili's. Yes, I remember this one from 2021. I'm sure it's doing absolutely fucking phenomenal. And what do you know? Another 2021 absolute shitcoin dumpster fire of a chart. This one on real regular scale looks like this. again, your long-term trend is your friend. Or, I mean, perhaps in your case, it might not be your friend because you do not like it, but you could make it your friend. You can make it your friend. Similar to a lot of the other ones, you know, do you bounce from this area in the short term before going lower? Yeah, probably. But you got lower highs below 10 cents easily the whole way through. I mean, this thing has never really known what a real uptrend is. Just got a parabolic blow off top here during the peak phase of a bull market, and then just been down ever since. That to me is a very clear and obvious sign it's going to continue with this trend. I can show you what the long-term chart is likely going to look like. Something like this, man. Something like this. You're going to have your bounces. Of course, everything gets their bounces. Nothing moves in a straight line, but you know, I'd just be on lower high watch here. Even if this thing rallied up to like 10, 11 cents, I'd just be looking at what the fuck are you doing?
I'm stretching you, gay boy.
Elsa says, I'm stretching you, gay boy. Okay. It's not what we talked about. Reef Keeper says, the prospect of getting luck with alts is actually quite high. However, cashing in on that luck and keeping it because you know it's not going to just keep going up forever, much different story. Yeah, I mean, I think we're just talking past each other in that case because the result is the same, and that's kind of what I'm more focused on, I guess. But yeah, you can get lucky. It's just the problem is I imagine many people who have gotten into alts, especially during the meme coin craze in the past year, is they probably had it, you know, initially like amazing gains with some of these meme coins. You know, maybe maybe it went up like 50% or even a 2x, 3x within a week. But they have been reading all these stories about, dude, this fucking guy bought herpity derp coin and it went up 1000x in a day, and now we went from $1 net worth to $100 million net worth. It's insane. And then you think that that's going to be you, and then you hold it, and then eventually just round trips or even lower. And yeah, man, at the end of the day, I mean, if you could time those take profits, there is potential there for sure. Yeah. The fact is that those meme coins, those altcoins, they do have very low liquidity. They have very relatively low market cap, so they can move a lot. There's definitely potential. But it would take a very clean head to be able to perfectly execute that. Anyways, let's see. Stack says, hey, Krown, hope all is well. Hope all is well with you, sir, as well. Gold monthly. Yeah, gold. We've been bullish on this one for a while. I think I'm still bullish on it. Let me see. Yeah, I'm still bullish on it. This one's at new all-time highs. I think silver, the same thing as well. I wonder if Admiral Akbar is still watching that one, because I think that one also was looking decent. But yeah, gold here. Look, the trend is your friend in this case. If you're long gold, it's a great friend. If you're short gold, it's the worst friend possible. Short term, do I think it can pop back down to like 29.50, 29.55? Sure, yeah, but it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't change anything here. This thing is bullish as long as you're above no longer this red circle, but this red circle right here, which is the low from 28.30. You know, as long as you're above there, I mean, this thing is ready to make new all-time highs. I don't know, probably today, maybe next week. Maybe even continues on just for the next couple months. We'll see. But yeah, quarterly right here, very powerful. Yes, the rally is getting a bit extended, but it can stay in this region for a while. That is a very strong signal of momentum. In fact, the last time we saw the quarterly break into the critical zone was during the 03 rally, where this thing went from, or just basically straight up rallied from 03 to 13. So nearly a 10-year rally. So I look at that as a positive, a positive thing for the boo loss here. I think that it's just going to continue up. Do I have price targets for it? No, not really. Generally just up. Anyways, let me get back over here. And yeah, boy, pegging. Yes, we need more peggings. Maybe not. Let's see. Matteo Pernacci, definitely Italian, says, good day, Mr. Krown. Good day, sir. May I have a little update on Eurodollar? Yeah, let's check it out. I have my Eurodollar here somewhere. Yeah. I think you're seeing a monthly high or low here, ma'am. And I think that this one, well, hold on. Where's my monthly? Okay, let's go to a quarterly. I'm more inclined to say that this thing is not going to break down here and that it is actually reversing, but short term probably does play out a short term downside move to like 106, 106 and a half. But I'd actually be kind of looking at this as a likely reversal point, at least for now. I think that your range is generally between these highs at 1.25 versus these lows here at about $1 or 101, something like that. Yes, it is technically in a downturn right here. I do look at this as potential for a higher low. If you want to go directly by the book, then you'd want to see it back above 112.70 for it to actually complete this reversal. But I think I really do think that long term you're just going to be oscillating within this greater range between 101 and 125 and a half. And you're coming off of the low side of the range right now, so I'm more inclined to say that this thing is going to bounce from here. Long term, this thing, I mean, Forex does trend, but it doesn't. It actually oscillates more than not. And so when I look at this one, as kind of coming off the lows. Can I be wrong on that? Yeah, of course. I can be massively fucking wrong. And like I said, in the short term, you probably do get a pullback attempt, but as long as that pullback doesn't violate below 105, let's call it, I do think that this one does try for a reversal here, and it's going to be some sideways and up. Fingless Cave says, I've seen a worm moon arising. Yes, we must all pray to the worm moons. The worm gods are potentially going to absolutely fucking butt fuck us, so do need to be careful with that as well. Sui for JJ. Sure, man. Let's see. I got Sui over here, 218. We called a top on this one in January. I still remain with that long-term top call, but it probably tries for a bounce here as well. But again, very heavy downtrend and bearish as long as you're below the March. That you really only need one trend line for this, and it is the March highs from the 2nd of March, Sunday, to begin this month. And you can see that that's at 3.25. So this thing could bounce up and try and move towards 260, even $3. But as long as it's below this number right here, or especially the 200 simple, I think that long term the trend is your friend. And while it does get a rally, it probably fails. Looking at the monthly. Yeah, I mean, you're retesting a prior high right there. Give it a chance to bounce. If it reclaims that region, I guess I'd be happy to switch around to be bullish, or at least looking for a move back up towards 4.5, maybe even $5. At that point, I'd be wrong about a top call. But for right now, you got a lot of things suggesting that it's ready for a bounce here. Daily stochastic momentum is going to be pointed up above 206 as well. I think weekly might be there too. No, it's pretty beat up here, but should turn up relatively soon. Once it gets into this zone, it's kind of hard to keep up that momentum. So I'm inclined to say that this thing does rally up. I think it could easily rally towards like 2.75, maybe even $3, but 2.75 looks about right to me. And then come back to it after that. Anyways, Jogan says, question, how fucked are we? Thoughts on PP? Are you just talking about PP or just in general? Well, you're fucked because you're watching this channel, so you definitely got some wrong in the head. But as far as the market goes, I still hold on to some hopium here. The timing of this market cycle, the fact that we haven't seen a lot of the traditional top signals that we've seen in all prior bull market cycles, just makes me want to err on the side of caution. I can be massively wrong about that, obviously, but PP right here, very similar to a lot of the other things that we've looked at today. This one is definitely relatively weak in the more short/medium term, but just like the other ones, do you get another retest of this low here and then bounce, or does it just bounce from here? I'm more biased towards another retest somewhere around the lows before a bounce, but I think that's kind of neither here nor there. It's not important for probably what you're looking at this thing for. And I would say this one also kind of different than the other ones in the fact that it doesn't need to get back above its March highs to complete a reversal. It would need to get back above its late January swing high right here at 14,145,194. Whatever the fuck that ungodly number is. But yeah, I do think that you can bounce quite aggressively here, maybe towards whatever the hell this number is. I'm not even going to try to say it because it's just ruining my brain. But but that would still be another lower high. I think at best this thing's going to be ranging sideways within this within these boundaries for a long time, and then maybe gets another try to the upside. But to be fair, compared to 99% of other altcoins, this one does have a long-term uptrend, kind of. At least it made new highs from cycle to cycle. I generally think your next move is a bounce, but I don't think it's going to be doing all that much, to be honest, in terms of like, is it going to reverse long term? I think that's unlikely here. All right. WFA says liquid-frickin-dated my demo account yesterday. At least it's demo account. That's the place to liquidate it on, man. Get your reps in there without any real money, at stake. I mean, there's no reason to be risking real money when you don't have to, especially, if you're trying out new strategies, if you're trying to learn a new style of trading, these sort of things. Yeah. Don't add the risk to it. Let's see. Drew says, "Hey Krown, Sol XRP 4 hour and weekly." Okay, Sol. So this is the ratio between these two, and you can trade that ratio on BitTrue. Jesus. You don't need me to tell you that this thing is fucking ugly as hell. But that is a 4 hour time frame. Let's see what the weekly looks like. Yeah. So this would be Solana versus XRP, meaning that when this goes down, XRP is stronger than Solana. I would expect this trend to continue, to be honest. There should be a pretty big bounce relatively soon. Maybe it comes from exactly where it's at right now. Maybe it comes from a little bit lower at 45, but there probably is a bounce there. I think that bounce eventually fails, but you probably do see a bounce around there. So yeah, in fact, when I look at it from this angle, I do think I'm more inclined to say it goes lower first and then bounces maybe closer to 45, 48 region. But long term, the trend is your friend. I think XRP will continue to outperform Solana for a while, just to be completely blunt. Jogan says, thinking about opening up a hedge on Ethereum heading into New York Open tomorrow. You must be in the western portion of the hemisphere, because right now it's fucking Friday and tomorrow there ain't no trading. So I'm guessing that is that is true. Anyways. So you're thinking about having a hedge, I'm guessing a short position, to protect your spot position. So it must be a short position. Do you think equities puke tomorrow? I don't know. Let's look at Nasdaq futures. I think that's probably the most appropriate one to be looking at. Define puke, right? Because I do think you can easily retest these lows, maybe even slightly lower towards 19,000, but I don't think that you're breaking it on this, on this next pass. I do think that this is a bounce region. You've seen pretty much an unabated 15% move to the downside. 14.25% move to the downside from that last high. I'm a lot more inclined to say that it's going to base off of this region right here and then bounce. This thing could bounce all the way up to 20,000 plus very easily. Where would I get bullish on it again? Where would I call a reversal on this? Kind of more difficult on this one because obviously your last lower high was over here, so waiting for that's not going to be very helpful. I'd want to play this one by ear. I tentatively would say at around 21,400, but I just don't think that we have enough data right here to make like a better sort of analysis on it. At this current time, like I said, probably digs out these lows a few more times, maybe even slightly lower towards 19. But this is a bouncy region rather than like a puke region. If puke to you means the same thing to me, then it means something like this, like in a day. I don't think that that's happening today. If it is going to happen, it would very likely happen after a bounce to that 20,000 or $20,500 number, and then kind of turn back down around something like that is kind of what I'd be looking for if that was going to happen. All good, Emily. All good. Darrell says Bitcoin versus the Japanese yen. Actually, this is actually a very interesting chart to be mindful of. A lot of the time, you will see signals on this chart that are not present on the regular index charts or your regular spot or even CME charts, and the ones on this one have been a really good have been really accurate in the past. Anyways, this one is kind of more what I was hoping spot Bitcoin would look like. In fact, I'm glad that you called this up because I completely missed this. But you can see that Bitcoin is basing already off that blue moving average here, which is a 377. Bitcoin on spot has not quite hit there just yet. I mean, you can effectively call that a test, but it's not as picture perfect as the Japanese yen, and that's what makes this chart very appealing, I suppose. But I really wouldn't have too much different to say about this than I would on Bitcoin spot. I do think that it's still going to put in some time here around the lows. I'm a little bit more biased towards this thing coming back down closer to that low. And if you see a quick move up from there, that would be a beautiful 3 spike low, which, I mean, it's also kind of an inverted head and shoulders in a way, but more importantly, we see these on a lot of Bitcoin reversals. In fact, I can think of, I'll try to find a good example for this, because actually, yes, I know exactly the example I want to show. There is, a great example right here from 2019. I remember this one vividly, where Bitcoin comes down on that first move, aggressively makes a low, rallies up, comes back down for a slightly new low, rallies back up, then doesn't quite get to that low, but around there, I would say. So, it could look like this as well, I suppose, and then gives a nice rally. It's kind of what I think we're going to see for Bitcoin. But yeah, the yen chart, I do think, is a little bit more obvious. And again, I'm not going to be looking for the 377 to catastrophically fail on like the first test. So if things do come back down around here, I'd be looking at that as an opportunity, because it is a likely bounce region. But just like Bitcoin spot, hard to call it a reversal as long as you're below the March high, which is 14,350 or so. So it could easily rally up towards like 13.5 million yens. Must be like monopoly money if that's a real fucking number. That's crazy. But that would be another lower high. So yeah, nice. All right, let me. Jogan says, I'm getting tired of waking up to losing 7 figures day after day. At a certain point, I would like to hedge, just afraid if Ethereum reaches 2,000 tomorrow. Well, if you have an account that big, I mean, you don't need to be fully long, man. You don't necessarily even have to hedge yourself, but you don't need to be like 100% long. You could be, 40% long, and 60% cash. That's completely fine as well. You don't necessarily have to hedge with the short. I think that's just going to maybe make things a little bit more complicated and difficult to manage, to be honest. But, if you just want peace of mind, sure. I don't hate it. If I'm looking at Ethereum right here, I'd be saying the same thing as I am for Bitcoin. I don't think that you're in, I do think that you're going to be in a bit of a bounce scenario here in the more short/medium term. Can it retest these lows? Can it make slightly new lows? Sure. But look, this thing is a lot more likely to bounce from these regions. I do think that it will bounce back up, north of 2,000, like 2,100. But at the same time, I don't think it's reversing here. At least that's not my read. I really don't like Ethereum's chart. I really don't like it, and I haven't liked it for a while now. As long as the monthly stochastic momentum continues to the downside, I can't foresee any sort of real upside for this thing, or even a potential for a reversal. And the current pivot is 2,700, and we've seen month after month after month after fucking month since literally a year ago, where it gets so close to confirming that, and then does not on the last day, or 2 days before the last day of the month, and just continues down. And just following that very simple rule can kind of keep you safe on this thing. I just don't think that there's a rush into Ethereum, but yeah, do I think there's going to be a bounce? Probably. I just think that Ethereum's overall a lot weaker, man. And like I called out earlier as well, I just want to show this really, really quickly here, but there is a death cross on Ethereum's daily, which kind of surprised me. The red is a 50 simple. The white is a 200 simple. This one death crossed back in like late February. It's been a while now, to be fair. So that tells me that any sort of rallies likely do fail. But this thing could rally up to 2,500. It doesn't change anything. As long as this thing's below, especially the 200 simple, I would treat this one as more bearish overall. But yeah, that's just me. Again, here's a quarterly. Like I could easily see Ethereum going back down to low 1,000s, especially if the quarterly, which closes at the end of this month in a couple weeks here, is below 2,300. So needs to bounce relatively soon and needs to hold that bounce before end of month. Because if that one turns down as well, I would be very comfortable saying that this thing is going to undo most of its cycle gains, to be honest, back down to low 1,000s. So yeah. Don't those death crosses lag though? Of course, but it is speaking more towards the long-term trend. Of course, moving averages, most indicators are going to be lagging, but that doesn't mean like people say that, and I'm not saying that you do this because I just see this all the time. People say that as if it's like as if it like negates the value of these things, and it's just fucking retarded because it's telling you about the average trend over a long time, over a very long time. So of course it's going to be lagging. That's why you don't just short as soon as it happens, nor long when the golden cross happens, but it gives you a bias towards a long-term trend, meaning that when that death cross happens, I'm looking for rallies to sell into, not necessarily that I want to sell exactly right here. That's kind of my point. But yeah, man. Krown cheek bustin' on grinders. That's right, man. Anyways, all hail the blood moon, says Set. Yes, and actually a very appropriate name as well. I believe that's an Egyptian god. Would you buy low 1000s? No, because I don't like Ethereum, but would I buy it for a bounce? Sure. Ethereum can bounce, a lot. If it got down to like 1200, yeah. I mean, it's a tradable event. I think that you're going to get a bounce before that, though, to be honest. But if you're talking about long-term investments, I don't like this one for long-term investments. Even though it does have that long-term uptrend, it's just I don't like anything that has not made new all-time highs in 2024 or just this past bull market cycle. It's never a good sign to me. It's never a good sign. So yeah. I round tripped over $40 million at the PP top. Might kill myself. Don't kill yourself, sir. If you did it once, you can do it again. But 40 million is a lot. I will say. But yeah, if you did it once, man, you can do it again. That's the main thing. It might not happen today. Might not happen tomorrow. Obviously, it's going to take some time to kind of rebuild that sort of equity. And I do think that you are going to get some sort of a bounce here. I think this thing could actually even aggressively bounce. But if you did it before, you have to have some sort of a system. I mean, 40 million isn't a fucking fluke. So I would say just raise some cash, man. Have some cash available on the side. It'll make you feel a lot better. I can assure you, man. I can assure you when you have when you're not fully long in an asset and you have some cash on the side, you're in a much better position, a position of power. Is the bull market over? So it's the real deal. Crandy Rondon. Is the bull market over? I'm still not ready to say that. Personally, I can make a good case for why it's over, but I don't personally believe that just yet. And like I said, I can be massively fucking wrong on this. And if I am going to be wrong on it, it will be massively wrong. But as long as Bitcoin is above that November low from last year, I don't want to get prematurely bearish here. Yes, the weekly is starting to shift into is in a downtrend. The monthly isn't there just yet, but I would like to give it at least that. That's just a personal opinion. Of course, more aggressive people will completely front run that, and I would completely understand that as well. But I'm not ready to say that. One, because of that, as long as it's above November's low, and then two, timing of cycles. I mean, up until now, the 4-year cycle has been, it's been completed every fucking year. It hasn't been a fluke, and it hasn't been proven to be wrong yet. I'm not saying that it can't be proven wrong in the future. It's just until it gets proven wrong, I'm going to default to that just because I like statistics, and when something has a very high hit rate, I'm gonna always go with that because I know over time it's gonna be more right than wrong. So in this case, it's not destroyed just yet. So I personally don't look at it as destroyed, but doesn't mean that it can't happen. It's just, I suppose it just comes down to your preferences there. We had a massive Bitcoin rally, never a bull run for crypto. I honestly do disagree with that significantly. The reason why I disagree with it is because we did see a lot of memes go to the moon and beyond. We saw a lot of things in the past couple of years during this market cycle go to the moon and beyond. We saw the AI sector get played. We saw the meme sector get played. Then a little bit of the RWA sector getting played as well. It's just it wasn't like a crypto wide rally, which I don't think has ever really even been the case anyways. If you look at previous cycles versus the current cycle, it almost always is just a select few sectors. Like in 2021, it was what? It was NFTs, it was DeFi, and was there something else? I mean, those were the major ones. And then maybe layer ones. In 2017, it was ICOs. But everything else, didn't really do all that well, especially the prior cycle shitcoins as well. So, yeah, that would be my take on that. Krown doesn't like my buterals. It's not that I don't like your buterals. It's just I think it's going down. I just don't like its position compared to the other majors. It just continues to be weak. But you're more likely to bounce here, just like most things are. It's just, how high does that bounce get? Who the fuck knows? I don't think it's going to matter too much. Free says SBIT stock had killed it over the past month. Check it out, Mr. Krown. SBIT. Okay. What is this? Pro share. Oh, it's a ultra short Bitcoin ETF. Shit, short Bitcoin. Yeah, you can imagine it has done quite well since January. Yeah. You expect that. I think that this one probably fills the gap over here. Is this a leveraged short ETF? Because it says ultra short, so I'm inclined to think that it's a leveraged short. But yeah, no more paper says I bought Bitcoin at 16, sold at 90. I now have orders in at I thought you meant like $16 and then $90. Okay, so you bought Bitcoin and sold 90. Phenomenal fucking. Just about as good as it can get. I now have orders in at 76 down to 68. Question: if I think we're going to 125 to 150 this cycle, should I just buy now? These are always difficult to answer because it does come down to your preferences. Now, if I was in your shoes with my preferences, and this would be my situation. Like, I have a lot of cash on the side because I sold at 90,000, and I'm just looking at spot positions. Again, the assumption is that I believe Bitcoin's going to 125 or 150. So let's acknowledge that first. If I believe that, then yeah, buying a little bit here, I think is fine. I bought some here at about $80,000 for my long-term Bitcoin spot holdings. The reason why I bought isn't for any other reason than Bitcoin had a very massive sell-off here. I mean, very massive. It's been down about 30%. So for me, I have rules that when Bitcoin is down certain amount of percentages, I buy and I add it to my long-term spot holding position. But I don't touch that money. I don't look at it as even mine. I'm looking at it as potentially like a 10, 15, 20 year investment. So, I don't have a problem with that, but I wouldn't go all in right here. I'm kind of on the same page as you, potentially with long-term positions. So yeah. All right. My fucking throat is killing me. Holy shit. Long-term hold for Bitcoin, very cheap right now. No brainer for a 5-year hold. Yeah, that is like the 2-second explanation, which I would agree with. It's just I need to explain things in the way that I do things, just because, well, not everyone is going to be having that exact same opinion, right? Anyways, let me put back on these babies over here. Let's go. Okay, I'm missing one. There we go. That's one I'm missing. All right, sweet. David Gross says, I think Trump is making the market cycle abnormal. Anything could happen, but I'm leaning towards the negative side. Possibly. I mean, it does seem like the early portion of his presidency is going to be tumultuous, to say the least. Brainwashed LL says, Krown, thanks for your insights. All good, man. Like I said, I'm not saying that I'm right about everything, but hopefully I can explain my reasoning. Hopefully I can explain my preferences, and then you can deduce from that what is valuable, if anything, to you. Bitcoin getting the bounce off the 4-hour 21 moving average. Let's check it out over here. Is it? Yeah. It's holding on to it for right now. I think short, like very, very short term, can Bitcoin rally back up to 84? Same shit as yesterday. Yeah. But I really would like to see it kind of draw out this segment a little bit more, do something like this, come down and then put in a rally. That would make me a lot more optimistic. So yeah. Until then, I think all rallies get stopped at least by the 200 simple. Let's see. I've been trading peanut and fartcoin. Swear short them to 0. Yeah, man. 0 is the intended target for a lot of these things, I think. Anyways, let me see what else I can read over here. my Bitcoin is for young kids, not selling. Yeah, man. If you're very, very long-term oriented, 10, 20, 30 years down the road, do I think buying around 80,000 bucks is a bad do? No, like I said, I did that exactly myself, but it's a very, very long-term type thing. I'm very aware that, in the short term, I can be underwater on that. That's okay. I've been doing the same thing since 2019 now. NVIDIA updates for basketball Bronson. Let's check it out. NVDA. Okay. On NAS. Okay. Yes. Do I think it has more on this bounce here? I think it could. I think it could bounce up to like 125 region. With momentum heading up from these lows on the daily, and I imagine weekly as well. Oh, actually, no, the weekly is not headed up just yet. But coming off of a major moving average like this, I do think that you have a bounce here, but well, I guess it's going to have a chance. It's gonna have a chance, so might as well give it a chance. But if the bounce fails to reclaim February's high, which is 143.5, I would still be looking at this one as corrective at best and maybe reversal at worst. You are seeing momentum head down on pretty much all higher term timeframes. So yeah. If you see this month close out below 110 as well, that would also make me very confident in a much deeper, decline, somewhere down around like 70 to 80 bucks overall. But long term, the trend is your friend here. So I suspect it would be, a major opportunity. It's just that would be, for this thing, a big move, to be fair. Okay. I hit a 100% short on Rye today. She going lower. Man, you were just trading everything. Like maybe that's your issue. You're too spread out. You seem like you have some really good trades going on and shit like that, but maybe just get too spread out and lose sight of it. Cause I know that's an issue for myself. I'm not saying that like you can't do it. I'm just saying for me, like that's why I don't trade multiple assets. I don't know. Let's look at Rye. This is, I think, a minor. Yeah, I'd be happy to be short this thing. I think it's coming back down to $4. Holy shit. It's at 7.5. It's like 731 right now. Let me go to a regular. Yeah. Ugly as fuck long term. I mean, the chart of a shitcoin basically. Down is a direction. Below all major moving averages, all higher term timeframes are in a downtrend. Yeah. The trend is your friend in this case, and you're on the right side of that trend. Very ugly. Trading Bitcoin is a sign of low intellect. One should always buy Bitcoin for the long term. We are able to buy $100 million Bitcoin at $82,000 at $82,000. I think stuff like that is you're just not you're not being considerate of like other people's positions. Everyone's different. Like some people, they need to be more short term because they need it more short term. Some people can afford to be more long term, but maybe not everyone. It depends on your situation. So yeah. Juan Satoshi says, Guten Tag. I thought that you would say like hola. Could you please kindly look at Ray? I'm severely underwater. Are you talking about radium? You might be underwater for life. I'm guessing you mean this thing right here. Look, many things that we've seen today, I think, are setting up for at least some short and medium term bounces. This thing could easily bounce up to like $2.25, $2.50, but I do think that this thing is topped out for a very long time, if not for forever. The monthly is a reversal. The monthly is a monthly lower high. I think that over a long enough period of time, you're going to see this thing back down below 20 cents. Right now, trading at $1.50 or above $1.50. So while I do think it's probably more likely to bounce here rather than break down. Maybe in the short term, it moves a little bit lower, like 135 before a bounce, but that's not a significant move in my opinion for something like this. But I do think whether it's here or a little bit lower, you will see a bounce, and that can easily come up to like $3, $3.50 if it wants. But as long as it's below the breakdown levels of $4, I'd be looking at this thing as long-term massively bearish, with a general area of interest, maybe over the next year and a half, 2 years, back down to 20 cents, 30 cents, something like that. So yeah, Link is pooping. Link is popping. Link is popping. Very different thing. Let's see. What does popping mean to you? Okay. Daily time frame. Barely see anything right there. 4-hour time frame. Little bit of a move. Trend is still your friend, however, but does it bounce more? I mean, I've been saying this all day. I think most of these things are setting up for a decent bounce here. It's just lower highs, lower highs, lower highs until proven otherwise. Anyways. Radium will be covered. The owner had bad press. Don't think it matters, man. To be honest, I hear this shit all the time. If you have to make excuses for your favorite token or coin or whatever the fuck, it's never a good sign, man. The chart, the price is the truth, and that shit wants down. Again, I do think it's going to bounce. But I think it's going to fail. All right. Memes tied into people don't care about memes anymore, man. That like all of these prior market cycle narratives, they only get one play. They only get, I hate to tell you, man, but they only get one play. You know, did ICOs get another play after 2017? No. Has DeFi got another play as just a general sector since 2020? No. Has NFTs? Definitely not. So I don't think that memes will either. Krown, should I sell my coins to short the market and get rich? Man, I think you need to. If I'm giving you direct advice, which I probably shouldn't because that can be construed as financial advice, I would say, look, man, I think that you should massively reduce all of your trading and just hold on to whatever money that you have, because it sounds like you made a lot of money. I think you're going to be in the over trading segment here, and that's just going to be shitting it away, to be honest, man. Can you look at Ski Mask Dog? Well, I'm sure this one's going to be good. Ski Mask Dog. Well, actually, I can't look at it because it's not on TradingView, so bullish. At least I can't be super bearish on it. Memes have had multiple rallies. They have not, actually. They have not. They have had one major blow off top for the general meme sector, and after that, nothing has been had. Let me give you an example right here. Brett USD. All right. Boom. One move to the upside. Yes, you get some bounces on the way down, but it is down. It's down. Like, if you can trade the bounces, sure, that's awesome. But most people are just buying these things and holding them, and that's not going to be a winning strategy for 99% of shit. What do you think of using the average volume weighted average price? The average weighted volume price. I think it's just volume weighted average price. What do I think about it? Look, if you can find a strategy with it, and you can backtest it, and you can prove that it works, fucking go for it, man. Do I use it? No, doesn't mean that doesn't work. There's millions of indicators out there. Most of them have at least some validity to them. It's just, you don't need to use fucking millions of indicators to trade. So yeah, can it be useful? Sure. Yeah, of course. Do I use it? No, but that's fine. Anyways, memes are pooped, says Free. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I think if you're getting into the meme game now, you're about a year too late. Ski Mask Dog. Doggy, Shiba Inu, then get new PP. Newest is Brett Peanut. I don't understand what you're saying, but all of those things have just had one pop, except for Doggy Coin. Doggy is the only one that has survived from multiple cycles, but that's one out of literally hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of meme coins at this point. Go Plex says some 500,000 following CT crypto Twitters, I'm guessing you mean, claim that CRV is going to $10 this bull run. Look, I'm going to show you guys a secret because there's not too many people watching right now, and I just like recently had an experience with this, which made me it made me really open my eyes to what is going on in the majority of crypto Twitter. Yeah, this chart is never going to, well, is it never going to $10? I wouldn't say it's never going to $10. I mean, theoretically could put in a higher low here and reverse, but for now it's down, and I don't have any reason to believe that it's reversing. But what you have to understand with many people on crypto Twitter and probably crypto YouTube as well, is that we are getting messages from projects every day, multiple, and the projects, I mean, they don't even try to fucking some of them do try to hide this, but most of them don't even try to hide this. They just say, hey, what is it going to cost for you to market our project on your channel and for you to speak positively about it and like show a chart and say that you're buying and shit like this. And they just want a number. Now I don't do this obviously, but I know that not everyone's going to not do that. I would exercise extreme caution whenever you see someone talk about a random shitcoin on Twitter, on crypto Twitter, because it's highly likely that they're just being paid to do like a press release, and the creator themselves doesn't, care. Or I imagine they probably don't care themselves as well. But the project, they're just looking to get interest in any way that they can. So yeah, I'd be very, very careful with that sort of stuff, because when you see crypto Twitter people, especially when it's a lot of them, or at least like there's like, a handful of people who are kind of saying the same thing, it's because they've been fed the same line from these projects that they're being paid to promote, but they don't disclose that they're promoting it. So just be aware of that. I think it happens all the time. I won't call out names because, I don't have direct proof or anything like that. I can just share with you, the offers that I get. And I imagine that other people, have much greater followings than myself, or even lower as well. They get the same offers. So yeah. Did you do Caspa earlier? No, we haven't. Let's actually do it right now. Let's see what Caspa looks like. I'm sure this one's going to be great. Wow. It's not. That's a surprise. Sorry, man. Okay, so like many things that we've seen today, is it going to bounce here? It's going to have a chance to bounce. It already is bouncing. But you got lower highs and a downtrend as long as you're below 11 cents. So it could rally all the way up to like 9.5, 10 cents and still fail. I'd be bearish on this thing as long as you're below at least 11.5. But short term, does it bounce? Probably. Yeah, man. I'm happy to share information like that, because I understand that some people they just don't know. But and to be fair, I didn't even really know about this game on crypto Twitter as well. It's not why I got into the space or anything like that, or I started making videos. These projects though, they just search everyone out, and I don't know how it's probably all automated at this point as well, but they make it very clear in their messages. I would show you my DMs if I could, but I think that might be like destroying some privacy rules or something like that. So maybe I shouldn't do that. But they put it right in your face. They say, hey, what's it going to take for you to, what is your price to do X, Y, and Z, which amounts to like some sort of marketing for them. And they want very specific things, like they want you to speak positively about it. They want you to say that you're buying. They want you to say, something to that effect. So it's massively disingenuous if that's not being disclosed, of course. But yeah, LAI, we can look at that one. LAI. I'm guessing this is a crypto layer. Big pump up yesterday, but these big pump ups in long-term downtrends, I'm never a fan of. I do think it can spend some time. Well, short term, I think this one comes down actually back to like 0.5 cent. But, I think it could easily look something like this, spend some time around the high and then comes down lower. I don't think that this thing is reversing here. Like anytime you see a chart like this, I'm always going to be skeptical of it. When you see a long-term downtrend, I just assume any pop is going to ultimately fail. But can this one try higher first, or maybe even around the current highs? Sure. But I treat this one as long-term massively bearish as long as you're below 2.5 cents. So that's a pretty big fucking spread between where it's at right now. It could rally up all the way to 2 cents and still be bearish. But shit, man, when I look at the daily, I mean, I do think it's going to put in a local high right here on the daily, swing down. After it swings down, maybe gets one more try to the upside. But I think long-term, the direction is going to be the same, down. Happy Monix says, Krown, could you please explain the general rules for meta signals? What do you exactly mean by general rules? Like how it works? I think the way that it works is like hopefully pretty self-explanatory. I think that they also have materials on how to use it, but I'll just bring up an example right here. how does it work? Well, you got your time frame right here. You got the price in which this algo fired off. So it's just giving you a bit of a notice of a probabilistic trade in your favor. So with target number one at 83,750 and knowing that the probability of hitting target number one is about 70%, in my eyes, if I was just blindly trading this, I would buy around the this price over here, whatever the price that it opened at, hopefully a little bit lower, because I don't think that you should actually just blindly enter in whenever these things fire off. I think that almost always you can get slightly better, or in some cases massively better, entries, and then I'll just dump everything at target number one. That's a very high probability thing. It's almost always a 1-to-1 RR, especially if you get a little bit of a lower entry. It certainly will be, and that's going to be a long-term winning strategy there. But understand that MetaSignals operates on a closing basis for its stop losses. So when it says the stop loss on a close below 78,325, that means the 8-hour time frame needs to come down below there and close below there in order for the algo to close this trade. Personally, what I see with MetaSignals many times is that target number one gets hit extremely often, but a lot of the time price will dip deep into the stop loss zone with a wick, which I think is actually the better entry. So I'd be looking at this red space right here as an area of interest for an entry, not necessarily the exact price that this thing is firing off. So just to be clear about that. Let me take another sip of this. Makes you wonder if Charlie Ward got some XRP from Ripple to shill it as the new world reserve. I have no idea who Charlie Ward is, to be honest. But I wouldn't be surprised. I've heard rumblings of the Ripple people just like giving money to the Trump campaign so that they can be included on the crypto reserve, shit like that. Wouldn't surprise me, I guess. Can you explain how the bull hides his divergences? You mean hidden bullish divergence? It really should be called continuation divergence. It's just this. When you're in a trend, it's telling you when the trending in an uptrend, a higher low is coming in. Or sorry, yes. Holy shit, my brain just fucking broke. Yes, a higher low comes in on an uptrend and a lower high comes in on a downtrend. And it's the same way as looking at regular divergence, except literally just inverse. So you want to see, in the case of hidden bullish divergence or continuation divergence, you want to see a higher low on price action with a lower low on your on your momentum oscillator of choice. To see that, the idea is that bears used even more power or more momentum to try to push down price, but they didn't even get below the prior low. Thus, they are losing momentum overall, and bulls are taking over again. And then you get your continuation of trend. It's kind of the general gist of it. Anyways, Derpenheimer, nice name. Sir, would it be possible to have SOL as a currency on the skeleton key? I have a strategy for trading inverse perps, but want a proper reference. Found it to be an impact when applied to Ethereum. Okay, if I understand your question as like, can you use SOL as an input for the skeleton key? Yeah, you can use any ticker on TradingView. It doesn't need to be Bitcoin, even though I use Bitcoin as an example more often than not. But yeah, anything that's on TradingView, you can create a strategy around with the skeleton key. Absolutely. Oh, you mean as a currency? Okay, I think I know what you mean, actually. So you mean in the settings here, when you go to properties and you go to order size and you choose your currency over here? I actually don't think so. I don't think that you can change these inputs right here. Unless if you're trading Solana, then you could just use contracts on like an inverse perpetual, and contracts will represent Solana. Yeah. Coinbase, let's check out Coinbase. I think we're getting to the end of this one as well. So let's see. Yeah, Coinbase, man, this is one that I'm just going to be massively fucking wrong on. Do I think it's going to bounce around this prior low? Probably yes, but this thing has really lost its structure. Only way I'd get bullish on it more long-term is if it can trade back above February's highs. Until then, this thing does seem to really be reversing here. So yeah. There will be bounces, of course, but I need to see that area reclaimed first before I say, hey, this thing is back to new all-time highs and beyond. Yeah. Until then, hard one to love right here. do think it's getting ready for a bounce relatively soon, but maybe 165 and then bounce, something like that. But problem is that any bounce that fails to get back above, especially like 300, it's just another lower high, man. Are AI agent coins the meta for 2025? Maybe. I mean, I see that being talked up a lot recently, but I don't know. I haven't really seen anything do too well recently. We haven't seen anything on stream today that was, like actually literally bullish in the immediate term. That was a crypto. So yeah. Do you guys like purple nurples? I do. And I like my Hertz donut and my knuckle sandwich. Hey, Krown, here's a great chart as an example, and I'm holding both. Look at the daily chart, please. Sol versus Sui. Well, why not just do it like this? Oh, you can't do it like that. That's why.
Do you also like blue waffles?
Sui. Do I also like blue waffles? Well, I don't not like them. Yeah, I do think that this thing is reversing here, or it's maybe not a reversal, but I do think it is going to rally from here and probably try back up towards 74, 75 region. So what does that mean? That means that Solana does better than Sui? Sure. Just that could also mean that Solana doesn't go down as fast or as much as Sui does. Or in the upside, obviously, then maybe Solana just outpaces Sui. But yeah, I'd be favoring Solana over Sui. If those were my only two options, if I had more options, then I would not be favoring either, to be honest, looking at their US dollar charts. I think that there's better horses right now, man. How high can the bounce go on Coinbase, sir? Okay, let's check it out. How high can it go on Coinbase without reversing the trend? Well, that would be 300. How high can it go in a reasonable manner that still wouldn't change anything, but would still be a decent bounce, like 225 to 230? Something like that. If it does, I think that this one actually heads a little bit lower first and then bounces, but close to it. I started watching the show called Invincible. How do you like it, Mr. Marco? What do you think about Cardano right now? Would it test the 50 cent a region again? I don't know. I haven't looked at it in such a long time. Do I think it can test 50 cents again? Possible, yeah, but Cardano actually, similar to XRP, it's better than most things in terms of its current structure. Yes, it does have a downtrend here, but it is above both the 200 simple and the 377, which even Bitcoin's not right now. So, it does have, I suppose, a little bit of relative strength. Now you have to be asking yourself the question: if Bitcoin doesn't reverse, will this thing reverse? I mean, probably not, but. I think this one actually just operates best as a range here. Oh, I already have it marked off. Okay, range highs, what is this, 118? Range lows, yeah, about 50 cents. I'm looking for something that's obvious here. Let's see, maybe over here we can find something that's obvious. Daily time frame momentum is resetting here, so I look at that as generally positive. 5-day is freshly turning down, so I don't like it when these things don't agree with each other. It tells me more than likely it's going to trade sideways for a while, so I'd be looking for that range to get filled out a little bit more. Weekly, same thing. Monthly, also different as well. So I'd give it a chance. I do think it actually has better prospects than many things that we've seen today, but give it some time to go sideways here. Within this range. My LARP line here, I think, will be wrong. I think it very likely will be wrong. If you do see it below 50 cents, and obviously, then that's going to be right, and you're probably going to see this thing back down around a quarter to 30 cents. But I like to give things their like due recognition when they are, in a bit of a better posturing than most of the rest of this market, especially as a higher market cap coin. So, yeah. I think generally you're going to be going sideways in here, not anything super interesting in the more short and medium term, but the longer that it holds about 50 cents, the more and more that this really does look like the next macro higher low. And if it could trade back above March's highs, I mean, this thing is going to fucking fly. So long way of saying, I do think it get back down to 50, but I don't want to see it below 50 if it's going to maintain in its good posturing. And I don't think you're going to really be seeing anything like significant anyways. I think it's just sideways with that as a potential low side of the range. You want to look at Peanut on the 1 and 4 hour. My man, I feel like I'm just feeding into your addiction here, sir. Like, don't be throwing fucking... look, I'm not your dad, but I'd strongly suggest not to be throwing good money after bad money. The next move is going to be a bounce for this thing. Yeah, this thing is ready to bounce a bit. Long term, bearish as fuck, obviously, but in the short term, you know, if you're on a 4 hour time frame, I think you got a little bit of a bounce there, sir. Anyone else having problems with YouTube? I've had to reload several times since the cave opened. Well, according to my thing over here, it seems to be working decently, so it might be the internet, sir. Galaxy Digital Stock. All right, you know what? We're going to end on this one. My voice is sufficiently wrecked at this point. Okay. Wow. This one is... Okay, you already got a bounce off of the 377, but that one's failed and it's already tested a few times. I think that this one actually comes down a little bit more before a bounce. Yeah, you can see the long term on this thing. Whoops. Okay, let me just go over the more important points here. There's your highs. You just tested the top side. Oops, if I can get it right, that would be your lows. After you reject from the top side, what typically happens, you come down around the middle of the range. I think that this thing comes down to like $13.50 to $14. I think that would be a better area to try for a bounce. Monthly, yeah, monthly looks like a reversal to me with a swing high here. So I wouldn't be surprised to see this thing later this year, like maybe much later this year, but later this year, somewhere down around like $12 to $11. Yeah, even in the short term, I think that this one tries a little bit lower first before a short-term bounce, but doesn't really do much for it, to be fair. All right. Okay. Your YouTube ain't loading. There's definitely... Okay, a lot of people actually chimed back in and said that there are issues with the stream. I apologize about that, man. I'm not I haven't got any notifications from my streaming software, so that is kind of a little bit strange. But yeah. All right. I think that's a good place for me to be leaving off for today. It's been a nice, fun live stream, nice and intimate. This is why I actually really do like these sort of slower times. You know, intimate setting, good community, and in good conversation. So I think we'll end things for today right there. Just wrapping up my thoughts on Bitcoin. I still think, you know, Bitcoin probably tests somewhere closer to the low. We got very close yesterday, just below 80,000. But I do think it could come a little bit closer to that March 11th low and then try for a bounce. In the very, very short term, does Bitcoin rally up to 84? It could very easily do that, but I don't think it's going to break out from here just yet. And if it does, I'll just be looking for a rally towards a 200 simple and very likely a stop there. But for right now, you know, this is still looking massively corrective to me. So I think it's going to spend a little bit of time. Wouldn't get caught up too much in these short-term moves because the bigger and easier moves are on the horizon. Like I said, I'm very interested in Bitcoin down around here, especially for long-term, you know, spot holdings. But as far as trading goes, I think that the easy opportunities are still ahead of us right now. All right, that's where we'll end things for today. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone for joining on in. As always, I want to wish you